Have you ever wondered whether or not everything that happens in life is random? Or what if it's governed by hidden laws, timeless principles that shape everything from your thoughts to the stars above? Today, we're diving into the Kybalion, a text based on ancient Hermetic philosophy and uncovering its 7 universal principles that claim to explain the very nature of reality itself. Welcome to Renaissance Philosophy, where we make videos on philosophy and everyday life, narrated by a real human. Let's get into the video. The all is mind. The first principle tells us that everything begins in the mind. Reality at its deepest level is not physical, it's mental. The universe itself is like a thought, unfolding in a greater consciousness. Think about building anything, for example, a house, a business, or a career. It all must start as an idea in your mind before it may become real. This principle is telling you that your thoughts shape reality and your experience of it too. This principle is inextricably linked to the next principle and all other principles that follow. Correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. This principle reveals a hidden symmetry in existence. Patterns repeat themselves across different levels or planes of reality. What happens on a small scale reflects the larger scale, and vice versa. Once you understand this principle, a lot will change in your life. We go through life thinking that our feelings arise from the circumstances of our reality. However, the principle of construction shows that this is wrong. In fact, this principle says that your inner world reflects your outer world. Think of a time when you were going through some form of hardship. Maybe you lost your job or a relationship failed. Now think about how your inner state affected your outer world. Take a relationship breakdown. You could either take the approach that this is the worst thing that's ever happened, or the most liberating and exciting thing that has ever happened, opening up endless opportunities to finally live fully again. The combination of the principles of all is mind and correspondence means that you can now influence your thoughts so as to influence your reality. Master this, and you will be able to shape your reality as you see fit. However, there is an important principle to keep in mind, which I discuss next. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Everything in the universe is in motion, constantly vibrating. Even objects that appear solid are vibrating at microscopic levels. Different vibrations create different forms of reality. Think about your emotions. Joy feels light and expansive, while anger feels dense and heavy. These are different vibrational states of being. Change your vibration, and your experience of reality begins to change. So now we know that our thoughts, emotions, and vibrational states shape our reality. But we also need an understanding of the next principle, the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has an opposite. Everything has an opposite, but opposites are really just extremes of the same thing. Hot and cold are both temperature. Love and hate are both emotional intensity. Imagine you're feeling sadness. According to this principle, joy is not separate, it's just the other end of the same emotional spectrum. Understanding this gives you power. You can gradually move from one state to another. As with the principle of duality, a micro principle, there is the principle of rhythm, a macro principle. which I discuss next. You will see that polarity and rhythm are examples of as above and so below, discussed in Principle 2. Everything flows out and in, everything has its tides. Life moves in cycles. There are highs and lows, expansion and contraction. Nothing stays the same forever. Consider motivation, for example. Some days you feel unstoppable, other days everything feels slow. That's just rhythm. Instead of fighting it, understand it helps you stay balanced. Knowing every low is followed by a rise. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Nothing happens by chance. Every event is the result of something that came before it. This principle reminds us that life follows laws, even when we don't see them. For example, if you practice the piano daily, improvement is not luck. It's the natural effect of a consistent cause. Your habits today are shaping your future outcomes. But against this, all stems from your mind. Principle 1 discussed above, then from your mind to you, actions. Principles 2 and 3. Everything has masculine and feminine principles. This principle is not just about biological gender. It refers to two fundamental energy states present in everything. The first is the masculine. It is the active, directive, and initiating state. The next is feminine, which is receptive and nurturing. Both are necessary for creation. If you think about creativity, you need the feminine energy for ideas and the masculine energy to enact them. Without both, nothing comes into existence. This principle is also an excellent example of polarity, as discussed earlier. These 7 principles form a framework, a way of seeing reality not as chaos, but as something deeply ordered and interconnected. The Kybalion suggests that by understanding these laws, you don't just observe the universe, you begin to work with it and unfold reality in your favor. So the question becomes, if these principles are always at work, how might they already be shaping your life? And if you were to master them, how could you reshape your life? We will be publishing detailed videos on each principle soon. If that's useful to you, consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.